Job interview in English for accountants. Technical questions. Financial statements. Interviewer. What are the three main financial statements, and what information does each provide? Interviewee. The three main financial statements are the balance sheet, the income statement, and the cash flow statement. The balance sheet shows the company's assets, liabilities, and equity. The income statement shows revenues and expenses, resulting in net profit or loss. The cash flow statement shows the inflows and outflows of cash during a period. Accounting equation. Interviewer. What is the basic accounting equation? Interviewee. The basic accounting equation is assets equals liabilities plus equity. Balance sheet. Interviewer. How do you prepare a balance sheet? Interviewee. To prepare a balance sheet, I list all assets, then all liabilities, and finally the equity. The total assets must equal the sum of liabilities and equity. Income statement versus balance sheet. Interviewer. What is the difference between the balance sheet and the income statement? Interviewee. The balance sheet shows the financial position at a specific date, while the income statement shows the results of operations over a period. Cash flow statement. Interviewer. What are the main components of the cash flow statement? Interviewee. The main components are cash flows from operating activities, investing activities, and financing activities. Depreciation. Interviewer. How does depreciation affect the balance sheet and the income statement? Interviewee. Depreciation reduces the value of fixed assets on the balance sheet and is recorded as an expense on the income statement, reducing net income. Double entry accounting. Interviewer. What is double entry accounting? Give an example. Interviewee. Double entry accounting means every transaction affects at least two accounts. For example, when a company buys supplies for cash, supplies increase and cash decreases. Current versus non-current assets. Interviewer. What is the difference between current and non-current assets? Interviewee. Current assets are expected to be converted into cash within 1 year, while non-current assets are held for longer periods. Accrual principle. Interviewer. What is the accrual principle in accounting? Interviewee. The accrual principle means that revenues and expenses are recorded when they are earned or incurred, not when cash is received or paid. Working capital. Interviewer. How do you calculate and interpret working capital? Interviewee. Working capital is calculated as current assets minus current liabilities that IT measures a company's short-term liquidity. Taxes. Interviewer. How do you determine the taxable base for income tax? Interviewee. The taxable base is calculated by subtracting allowable deductions and exemptions from total income. Interviewer. What documents are necessary to support a tax deduction? Interviewee. Invoices, receipts, and official documents that prove the expense is related to the business are necessary. Interviewer. What is VAT and how is it recorded? Interviewee. VAT, value-added tax, is a consumption tax. It is recorded as a liability until paid to the tax authority, and as an asset if it is recoverable. Interviewer. What is the difference between withholding tax and self-withholding? Interviewee. Withholding tax is deducted by a third party, while self-withholding is paid directly by the taxpayer. Interviewer. What can happen if a company does not file its tax returns on time? Interviewee. The company may face penalties, interest charges, and even legal consequences. Payroll. Interviewer. How do you calculate a company's payroll? Interviewee. Payroll is calculated by adding all employees' gross salaries, deducting taxes and contributions, and including any bonuses or allowances. Interviewer. What items must be included in payroll settlement? Interviewee. Salaries, overtime, bonuses, deductions, and Social Security contributions must be included. Interviewer. How do you record social benefits in accounting? Interviewee. Social benefits are recorded as expenses and as liabilities until they are paid. Interviewer. What is a vacation provision and how is it recorded? Interviewee. A vacation provision is an estimated liability for employees' earned vacation days. It is recorded as an expense and a liability. Interviewer. What should you do if you find an error in payroll? Interviewee. The error should be corrected immediately and the affected employee should be notified. Audit. Interviewer. What is internal control and why is it important in accounting? Interviewee. Internal control consists of procedures to ensure accuracy, reliability, and compliance in accounting. IT helps prevent errors and fraud. Interviewer. How do you prepare for an external audit? Interviewee. I organize all documents, reconcile accounts, and review previous audit findings to ensure everything is in order. Interviewer. What procedures do you use to detect accounting fraud? Interviewee. I use reconciliations, surprise audits, and review of unusual transactions to detect fraud. Interviewer. What is your role in the audit process? Interviewee. My role is to provide accurate information, answer auditors' questions, and implement their recommendations. Interviewer. How do you document a bank reconciliation? Interviewee. I prepare a reconciliation statement that lists all differences and adjustments between the bank statement and the company's records. Financial analysis. Interviewer. How do you calculate gross profit margin? Interviewee. Gross profit margin is calculated as sales cost of goods sold divided by sales. Interviewer. What financial ratios do you use to analyze a company's profitability? Interviewee. I use ratios like net profit margin, return on assets, and return on equity. Interviewer. How do you evaluate a company's liquidity? Interviewee. I analyze the current ratio and quick ratio to assess liquidity. Interviewer. What is financial leverage? Interviewee. Financial leverage is the use of debt to increase the potential return on equity. Interviewer. How can accounting help in strategic decision making? Interviewee. Accounting provides financial data that supports budgeting, forecasting, and investment decisions. Taxes. Interviewer. How do you record a prepaid tax payment? Interviewee. It is recorded as an asset until the tax obligation is settled. Interviewer. What expenses are not tax deductible? Interviewee. Personal expenses, fines, and some entertainment costs are not tax deductible. Interviewer. How do you calculate deferred tax? Interviewee. Deferred tax is calculated based on temporary differences between accounting and tax values of assets and liabilities. Interviewer. How do you record a tax refund in accounting? Interviewee. A tax refund is recorded as an asset until the cash is received. Interviewer. What tax strategies can be used to optimize the tax burden? Interviewee. Strategies include taking advantage of tax credits, deductions, and deferrals. Payroll. Interviewer. How is payroll managed for contractors or freelancers? Interviewee. Payroll for contractors is managed through service contracts and usually does not include social benefits. Interviewer. What are the tax implications of paying bonuses? Interviewee. Bonuses are subject to income tax and Social Security contributions. Interviewer. How is Social Security paid? Interviewee. Social Security is paid by withholding the employee's share and adding the employer's contribution, then remitting the total to the authorities. Interviewer. What internal controls should be applied in payroll processing? Interviewee. Controls include segregation of duties, authorization of changes, and regular reconciliations. Interviewer. How do you record a payroll advance? Interviewee. A payroll advance is recorded as a receivable from the employee. Audit. Interviewer. How would you establish an internal control system for invoice processing? Interviewee. By implementing approval workflows, segregation of duties, and regular audits. Interviewer. What would you do if you found a mistake in a colleague's work? Interviewee. I would discuss it with the colleague and help correct it. Interviewer. What is a management letter in an audit? Interviewee. It is a letter from the auditor to management highlighting internal control weaknesses and recommendations. Interviewer. How do you ensure accuracy in your accounting work? Interviewee. By double-checking entries, reconciling accounts, and using accounting software. Interviewer. How do you document a bank reconciliation? Interviewee. I prepare a reconciliation statement that lists all differences and adjustments between the bank statement and the company's records. Financial analysis. Interviewer. How do you determine if a company can meet its short-term obligations? Interviewee. By reviewing its current assets and liabilities and calculating liquidity ratios. Interviewer. What technology tools do you recommend for efficient accounting? Interviewee. I recommend using accounting software like QuickBooks, SAP, or Oracle. Interviewer. What methods do you use to estimate bad debts? Interviewee. I use methods like aging of receivables and historical loss rates. Interviewer. How do you continuously improve your accounting and financial skills? By attending courses, reading industry publications, and practicing with new software. Interviewer. What do you think are the biggest challenges for the future of accounting? Interviewee. The biggest challenges are adapting to new technologies, regulatory changes, and the demand for real-time information.